time it is!
Thank you, everyone, for checking out the C-Squared Hour. I'm your host, Chris, bringing you another episode. That's all you really need to know, right? Okay, so I'm not going to do a whole big intro on this episode. I'm just going to jump right into it. My longtime fans are going to be noticing I sound awful lonely. Well, the other Chris couldn't make it to this episode. He's currently taking a lot of meetings with video game both distributors, makers, creators, artists, anyone in the video game industry. He's going all around talking to a bunch of them. And on a lot of his trips, you'll find that it's me who has the idea and really, lights a fire under his ass to go get something done. This time, however, this was all him. Okay, 80% him, 15% me, and 5% just logic. I knew I forgot something. He's going to these video game companies, and he has a bone to pick with them. We cannot count the amount of games where nowadays games are made for adults as well as kids. There are plenty of games out there where the main character should get laid but doesn't. What's an example, Chris? Well, I'll tell you. If anyone's ever played Resident Evil 4, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You go to the, Eastern Europe or wherever the fuck this thing takes place. You go over there, you save the president's blonde, probably 20-year-old daughter, and bring her home, and she basically says, hey, I would like to bang you, and you say no. That is not good enough. You spend weeks, months, sometimes a year if you're really bad at video games or you're really busy, saving this broad, and you don't even get the potential of the thought that your character is banging her. It's weird to say out loud. I get that. I understand. Everyone I know who's listening, I can feel pulling back. Just stick with me, all right? Just a little bit. You go through, you save the president's daughter. You should have the option, right? It should be either a game decision or the writer should write it in. Like, yeah. And they went back and he banged her for a while until, I don't know, she got pregnant and had one of those backroom Illuminati abortions or whatever. Another game I'm playing right now, Far Cry, what number is 6? You're basically saving Cuba from a dictator, and you run around probably like 20 hot Latin broads. Don't touch one of them. Not one of them. The only time it's happened, well, you have Grand Theft Auto. Obviously, that's a dumb one. That doesn't count. Because that's just for shock value. That's not for increasing the story, if you will. It's just saying, hey, look, here's the first game you could see boobs on here. Or, look, you could pick up hookers here. That's for the shock value. That's not for the story. The stories aren't realistic enough. That's where I'm going with this. I mean, that's where he's going with this. And I'm remembering what he said. It makes the stories too unbelievable. Yes, I know, monsters, aliens, shit like that. One guy, getting shot 50. I get it, alright? But if you're trying to make them more realistic, you gotta make the characters a little more realistic, don't you? And what's more realistic than banging the president's hot daughter? Or if you're saving Cuba, at least banging one of the farmers' wives that you save. Again, the only time it really happens, again, Grand Theft Auto, Last of Us, they did some, hey, look, they did a political kind of thing, or I don't know if it was political or shock value or trying to, whatever. They did it with 2 chicks, but I don't know if that was a statement making or what it was. If you want to make video games more believable, more realistic, in Chris's opinion, what you have to do is let the main character bang the damsel in distress once in a while. How realistic is it if you're going around you're this guy just killing every fucking bad guy that lives, and then you just go home and you fall asleep? No, you have all these people walking around. You're gonna want to knock one of those out. If you're gonna make it more realistic, make it more realistic. That's all he's saying. So if anyone knows anybody in the industry, pass it along, will ya? And it doesn't have to be every game. It doesn't have to be every time. But once one of these heroes should... I mean, I guess it kind of happened in... No, Uncharted was different. Never mind. I'm not... And you see, what's happening is I'm not a big enough video game nerd to truly talk about this. So I'm going to get messages constantly saying, oh, what about this game? What about this game? I haven't heard of them. Fuck, what was it? 2K20 did it? I digress. That is where Chris is. He is lobbying these video game companies. He wants more realistic stories by making the hero dudes more dude-ish. Makes sense to me. What was his message to me? I want these main characters to get some puss once in a while. Well, if you're gonna put it that way, then by all means. I brought up something at the end of my last episode that, frankly, should have been brought up at the beginning, because I know how people are with podcasts. They throw them on, fall asleep to them, or throw them on while they're doing shit, and I had a 20-minute project, and don't really have a chance to listen to the rest of this, so I'm bringing it up now. And hey, they say in real radio and terrestrial radio that you don't necessarily... I'm trying to justify why I'm bringing up something I already brought up. I'm done doing that. Anyway, very good friend of mine and faithful longtime listener hooked me up with golf balls with the podcast logo on them. Yeah, I know. Pretty cool Christmas present. There's only, so much you can get for Christmas. Like, there's a lot of shit you like. Like, hey, that's cool. Or, hey, I could really use that. Or, oh, I was wanting this. And there's very few things as an adult you're like, holy shit, wow, this is actually, like, really, really fucking cool. That was one of those presents. What I am doing is, as I'm playing them, and they become too beat up to continue play with, I am just littering these golf balls around courses, just random spots, courses all through the Northwest. I've decided that if anyone finds one of these, looks up where it came from, and decides to hear this part of what I'm saying, or hears this, anyone who does will get some sort of prize. I'll figure something out. You'll get 2 tickets to... No, you'll just get... I'll figure out something. I'll ask if you want something. I'll fucking... I don't know, send you a t-shirt or some shit like that. So if you're in the neighborhood, if you're in the area of the Inland Northwest, as they call it, and you find a golf ball with this logo on it, you might be one set of mittens richer. If that's what you want. If you want a set of mittens, I don't know. We'll figure something out. But you'll have to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a picture of it, and we'll just do it that way. That works. So I brought that up at the end because it was a great idea I had after 4 beers or whatever. You don't have these good ideas at the beginning. So I thought I'd bring it up at the beginning this time. And now I think we can officially start the show. Because usually I have one more of my stupid little intro themes, intro deals I do. And the other one I have still here. It's coming up right now. You're not missing a thing, folks. If my squareheads are worried that they're going to miss something, don't worry. I got this. The fight with Randy still needs to happen. Here's where the problem comes in. I went on that whole rant on the last episode about why I need this fight to happen, why I want this fight to happen, why it's in the best of both of our interests for this fight to happen. Didn't hear word fucking one from him. Not a yes, not a no. We're not like, hey, that's interesting. Hey, that's funny. Or, wow, you're an asshole, aren't you? None of that. Didn't hear word one. Which leads me to conclude two things. Either A, he doesn't listen to this fucking thing at all, so he didn't hear it, which makes him a terrible friend and a terrible person. B, he heard it, soaked it in, and said, this guy isn't even worth... That's not how I wanted to put this. Him talking on this podcast isn't worth me responding to even in person. So either heard it and blew it off, or he didn't hear it because he's blowing the first step off. Usually this is just my throwaway thing to, get people pumped up, like wanting to see this fight, like, hey, I bet I could find a charity that would want money from a celebrity fight. Sorry.
Nope.
You're right. That's what got me called a celebrity fight. First of all, real quick, if this goes down as a boxing match, it's not going to be one of those dumb celebrity ones. It's not going to be Tom Bridges versus Emmanuel Stewart, or Stewart or Lewis. Who was Webster? Or was Gary Coleman Webster and Emmanuel Stewart was the boxing. Yep, Emmanuel Stewart was the boxing coach. Emmanuel Lewis was Webster. Got it. It's not going to be Todd Bridges versus Danny Bonaducci. Could have just done that and saved us all that trouble, couldn't I? No, I'm really going to train. I'm going to make sure he really trains. I'm getting, real refs, real fucking... There's going to be, a real undercard. There's going to be, legit fighters before us. So it's not going to be one of those stupid, Frank Gore versus Le'Veon Bells, followed by Jake Paul versus, I don't know, the girl from Dr. Phil. There'll be real shit on it. So, where the fuck was I going with that? You see, this is a podcast, so I could just rewind it and go back to figure out what it was. Or I could just be this guy. I don't know. Once I said celebrity and then felt myself almost vomit because I called myself a celebrity... that kind of put me off the rails, didn't it? So, anyway, Randy has either decided to not listen to this adventure that I'm going on with all of my squareheads, because we're in this together, right? It's us versus the world, right? Or he doesn't give enough of a fuck about me to even respond to me. So either way, usually I just throw this in to get people hyped up for it. That's where I was going with this. I usually just throw this in to get people hyped up for it and yeah, that'd be good time. Now it's actually a part of the show. This time it's not one of my beginning little things. No, it's part of the show this time. So Randy, we gotta lace him up. We gotta meet in the ring. That's all there is to it. And now that train wreck was over, I think I'll really get into the show. Because tonight was a big night. The night I'm recording it was a huge night. Brittany Griner's return to the WNBA. The return to professional basketball. Not sure if Pete Davidson had a stand-up show, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, callback from a different episode. So, Brittany Griner returned. Apparently was looking really good. I watched some of the game because it was on right after the hockey game, and apparently she looked okay for what she'd gone. They still couldn't fill the barn in LA, however. Still quite a few empty seats, I noticed, so people would rather see a whiny LeBron than someone who was detained in a foreign country, a political prisoner. They're all excited about, she had a bunch of blocks. She's 7'4", of course she was blocking shots. But yeah, it was good to see her returned from being wrongfully Wait, what? Wrongfully detained? Folks, didn't she break the law of the country she was in? I'm not trying to be that guy, whether they're saying it was fair or not. And yes, they tried to sentence her to 10 years as a fuck you to the U.S., so that part, clearly wrongful. That was excessive. But to sit there and say she did nothing wrong and was only there as a... No, she had drugs in another country. Say what you want about marijuana, I get that. But it is an illegal drug in the Republic of Russia. Is that what we're calling it? I don't know. They have elections, but they're not real elections, but they're... How was she wrongfully detained? She was wrongfully sentenced. She was wrongfully treated, I guess we would say. The court part of it was just a dog and pony show. But I'm not sure we would have this much of a give a fuck if he hadn't bombed Ukraine 3 days beforehand. I don't know what's so heroic about getting popped with weed at the airport. I know plenty of people who've done that, and they just got kicked out of their parents' houses. So I don't know what makes her a hero for it. And treating her like a hero. I won't even bring up the the domestic violence charges. You know why I won't? Because I'm a feminist. And for fuck's sakes, how many male athletes are out there who've been convicted of beating the shit out of women who we just let back on the field and ignore? So me being the feminist, I will not stand for that. And I am not going to mention the fact that she basically ran away to Russia a few years ago for an entire year because of these, quote, I guess they're not allegations if she pled guilty to them. I'm not going to mention any of that. Because like I said, I'm a feminist, equal rights, all that. But she has become a political hero for getting busted with weed at the airport? If that's all it takes, that's all I got. It's great that she's back. It's great that she's free. It's great that she gets to do what she loves to do. But all this wrongfully detained, all this, she's a hero. And no, her getting sentenced to 10 years was complete garbage. They just wanted their arms dealer back. Now, if you're Brittany Griner, are you flattered that the United States of America thinks that you are worth someone called the Merchant of Death? Oh, this isn't a pun because you're 7'4", but some pretty big shoes to fill. I mean, this guy got labeled on an international level the Merchant of Death. You're going to have to get quite a few triple-doubles this year for you to live up to that. But I would be honored if they said, yeah, your country's going to trade a guy called the Merchant of Death for you. Whew. Well, I guess, yes, I'll marry you. That part was stupid, so we're going to just, yep, we're going to get rid of that. Oh, I did forget to mention last week. I talked about going to the XFL football game in Seattle. I'm not going to go further into that. What I will go into, myself, Chris, I wanted to think of a bunch of things to say. The annoying guy who sits behind a microphone every now and again and posts it for the world to hear. I was racially profiled at the stadium in Seattle. At Lumen Field, I was profiled. No, it's okay. Stop marching, everybody. Put down your dumb tiki torches. It's okay. It's okay. I was walking through the metal, and everyone, they were just sending through the metal detector. And for some reason, a couple other people had to go back through a second time when taking out all their stuff from their pockets. Fine, whatever. That's cool. I happened to be the only one I saw stop for about 30 people. And I think the guy after me looked awful lot like me, too. But yeah, so they stopped me going into the stadium and make me go through the metal detector again. The African-American gentleman on the other metal detector, they just let right through. The 3 women on the metal detector on my other side, they just let right through. No, the mid-30s white guy, they stop and make him go through again. And I didn't get offended by it. There's a few reasons I didn't get offended by it. One, it hasn't happened to me my whole fucking life, like some people. So, once, getting profiled once, actually, it's probably like 3 times. Getting profiled 3 times in my 35 years of existence, I think's okay. Second of all, I know I'm the problem. You don't worry about, people don't worry about gangbangers anymore, or drug dealers, or, that's not the problem anymore. There were absolutely no crack dealers at the Capitol on January 6th. Absolutely none. You know what there was a lot of? 35-year-old white guys. There's a lot of them at the Capitol. So I get it. I understand that I'm the problem now. And I want, what I'm really going after is, regardless of how much I try to be all-inclusive, I know my demographic is gonna lean heavily towards the out-of-shape 30-year-old white guy. If these January 6 folks continue with what they're doing, be prepared for it. You might not get stopped speeding still. I mean, when you get pulled over, you may get treated the exact same way. But no, when you go to a big event, when there's security, be prepared. Because the last 7 or 8 big issues at a large event, they were done by our people. So, I wasn't offended. Was not offended. Should I have been? Doubtful. Again, it probably didn't bother me as much because it's never happened before. So that was just my warning for, the more you know NBC thing. That was just my warning. People who look like me, we're in for some interesting exchanges at public venues. Just be ready for it. Don't make a thing about it, because then, just don't make a thing about it. I chose the wrong beer today. Tried a new beer. Not good, but hey, nothing ventured, right? I don't know how I can't figure out how to adjust myself. I get so comfortable and then I...
Shut up, bitch!
Fine, I'll get back to the show. What do I have? Just real quick. I'm not going to talk about it too much. The second round of NHL playoffs just started again. We'll just start again since a year ago. Edmonton lost in the last round. Just a couple quick things I have to say about it. Canada, your sport, still can't get a team since 1993. 30 years. 30 years, and you can't get a Canadian team to get the cup, can ya? You even tried to kill the whole world with COVID. Wait, what? If that's not a conspiracy, someone should run with that. That'd be fun. 30 years. Tough break, Canada. The better part of it is once the game seemed to be fully out of reach, last game that you're going to see for 6 months in this building, game's fully out of reach, all of a sudden, 4 minutes left in the game, there goes Edmonton fan. Every single one. And I understand some people leaving. It happens everywhere. It happens. But sections at a time while play's going on. It's almost like they were being let out by an usher. Like, oh, well, the game's over, so let's all leave. We don't have to worry about the rest of the game. It doesn't matter who the 3 stars are going to be tonight. Edmonton fan, you left awful early for being that fabulous of a hockey city. So not only are you the ugliest fan base in the entire NHL, you are the most fair weather. See, get it? Because Edmonton doesn't have good weather. The only fair weather thing about their city is the fans. Yeah, so just stop pretending. At least Vancouver riots when they lose in the playoffs. Good job Edmonton, I guess. All I know is for the NHL, I want whichever Eastern Conference team gets to the finals to win. I want whichever Eastern Conference team to beat Dallas. Ooh, let's get into some real business news, shall we? Vice Media or the Vice Network or Vice News filed for bankruptcy this week. So, as they all say, you go woke, you go right? Right? Isn't that how it goes? Or maybe you just should have stuck to what you're good at when you first started. I know Chris and I have had this conversation. I think in this room, Vice on HBO was awesome. They would just send people into war zones that we didn't know were even wars. Like, hey, look, we're on the east coast of the Western Hemisphere of the North 40 of the Sudan. Didn't know that was a place. But, oh, look at this war that's been going on for 10 years. Wait, what? There's a war there? Look at this gang war in the middle of the Amazon. That's fucking nuts. But they tried to go bigger. They tried to step out of their lane. They were Megyn Kelly going to NBC. They tried to step out of where they made it. They turned into, or they tried to brand themselves as a network for hipsters, basically. Here's the main issue with that. Hipsters started the whole no cable TV, no live TV kind of thing. I don't need cable, I just have Netflix or whatever. They started that whole thing, so you're trying to build a live TV network for them? That's where the issue was. Just send your reporters back in the middle of wars and let us watch from the safety of our couch. Your shows were awesome when you did that. And every once in a while, make someone eat a dog or something. I'm telling you, if you're gonna try to do something with the Vice Network or the Vice, if you're gonna try to do something with that, I just gave you the blueprint. Try that again. The blueprint. Vice got big because it sent people to where people weren't. And then it just started whining from an office in Brooklyn like everyone else. And then once a month sending people to a war zone, which was still pretty cool. Still check it out. In fact, Vice was one of, if not the only news outlet I saw that was willing to report on the fact that there is a good area of the Ukraine that is still very pro-Russia. No one else said that. Because you think looking at the lame stream, if you look at the main news, all you hear is, Russia versus Ukraine. Well, why is this so hard? Well, because there's a lot of pro-Russia people in Ukraine. And you know how I know that? Because of Vice. They're the only people who said that. And then they tell me how I need to eat cabbage instead of lettuce for saving prenatal umbilical cords. I tried it. I got too greedy, didn't I? Got too greedy. Done with that. Anyway, Vice, just send people to war zones. Stop being political. But it's been a great week for legends. A fabulous week for people who are the greatest. And a bad week for nutty gold-digging whores. I was letting a lot of you try to process it, like, oh, which one of these gold-digging whores got it this week? Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend just found out in court that she could not get the NDA nullified. The non-disclosure agreement that she signed is still in place. So she has to go back to where I love people. I just realized something. If you listen to the last episode, you'll know. I love when people looking for a free payday just get their teeth kicked in. It is great. The ex-girlfriend was trying to get money out of Tiger, and she thought she could get the NDA nullified because she couldn't live in his house anymore or something. But Tiger said, fuck this bitch, I'm moving you out. I'm moving you out while you're on vacation. You're gonna be locked out. Fuck you. Bitch, I gave you a job. That's all you get. That's all you leave with your title of restaurant manager and all those goofy ass hats that you like to wear. That's it. You could tell from that Masters win, that fucking dumbass hat she was wearing, you could tell she was fucking nuts. But Tiger made sure that in court, he was set. And once again, my boy Tiger winning, overcoming the odds. And it's been said before, so why do I need to repeat it?
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
That's right. Best on the course, best outside the course. Oh, she loved that NDA when she thought he was going to fucking marry her up and she was going to get something out of a wedding, but no, now that she's fucked on that, now, she tried to get that nullified very quickly, didn't she? But my boy Tiger got out of it. Gotta love him. You don't see a lot of wins anymore for the... This is gonna sound really fucking stupid and really bad and really ignorant, but I'm okay with it. You don't see a lot of wins when it comes to civil, divorce, and like breakup, courts, or whatever. You don't see a lot for men. You don't see a lot. A lot of times they don't deserve the W's. That's fine. I don't look into it. But then you see something like Johnny Depp and you see this whole Tiger Woods thing, you say, you know, there might be hope for me after all. There might be a reason to get rich. Maybe I can hook up with a nutty hot broad for a while and get out of it unscathed. Because if Johnny Depp, Tiger Woods can do it, maybe, just maybe, it's available for me. And I think that's the American dream for a lot of men. You go back to, I mean, even, I'm not even talking about Me Too stuff. I mean, you go back to, you know, the 40s where if a woman left a powerful man, she died a penniless whore unless he took care of her. But that turned around. In my lifetime, I hadn't seen it. In my lifetime, until Johnny Depp and until Tiger Woods, men have been taking the L on that one. So maybe finally I have a reason to really do something with my life. It's not going to be taken by a money-grubbing whore. Oh, real quick. If you've gotten 3 or more DUIs, drinking and driving isn't your issue. You're a bad driver. Yes, drinking and driving obviously is an issue and bad, and you shouldn't do it. But people who got 1 DUI, they learn how easy it is to get one and how careful they need to be behind the wheel. Someone gets a second, not unheard of. Could have gotten your first one when you're 16 and a dumb kid, and then swerved to miss a deer on the road when you're 26 and blow a .09. Or you could be a drunk then and be a drunk now and just get caught twice. If you have 3 or more DUIs, you are a bad driver. Once you get and see, I don't have any DUIs, so maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. I should have. Back in my day, I should have. I am a lot more careful now. I'm like, you all know that. This beer might not taste the best, but it's getting me drunk a little better for some reason. Well, it's also 1 in the morning while I'm recording this, but after your second DUI, unless you're an imbecile, unless you are the biggest moron on the face of the earth, you're gonna change how you drive. Not only when you've had a few drinks, but most likely when you haven't had a few drinks. You're gonna practice, so it's muscle memory for when if you practice golf enough, you could do it pretty decently when you're drunk. A lot of people I know can't because they don't practice it regularly, but they don't golf as much as they drive. I, on the other hand, I think I golf more than I drive these days. So, I think what we need to do with these multiple DUI offenders, the jail and prison and all that sort of stuff is, whatever, but they revoke their license for a year or more and make them go through alcohol classes and stuff to get it back. No, if you're at the 3 or more mark, you need to go through driving tests again. You need to figure out how the fuck to drive, because that's your issue. I'm not advocating drinking and driving, okay? I would like to see the amount of traffic tickets that I'd like to see, the amount of traffic tickets, like, speeding or failure to yield or whatever. I'd like to see the amount of those that were given separately from the DUI to those people. Because I guarantee you, they would have a shitty driving record if they had never touched booze. If alcohol wasn't around, they would be in just as much trouble behind the wheel. That's the issue. So when we talk about alcohol counseling and shit for these multiple DUI offenders, no, we need driving schools. We need adult re-education center. Was that from a book or was that a real thing? Either way, we need re-education centers for drivers if you're getting that bad. All right, well, it's late. I'm a little too wound up than I should be for what I'm trying to do for this. So I'm going to end with a quick public service announcement. Can we figure out car air conditioning yet? It shouldn't go from 70 degrees to 90 degrees when I'm in the convenience store for 5 minutes. How does that work so terribly? How does it just... These new cars have... These newfangled cars. These new cars have thermostats, you can set them just like at your house. Well, I guess if you did that, then they would have to be running all the time. But what I'm saying is, in 5 minutes, how can it go from 70 to 90, and then you have to flip everything back? Are the gas companies and the automakers fucking with us, and they're not putting in the air conditioning technology that they have? So we have to run it more, which means more parts running on our cars, which means they have to get serviced more. More parts, more running, more service. That's probably the issue. That's probably why they don't want to have air conditioning work as good as they could make it work. But will someone out there just figure it out? Just figure out how. I want my car to change no more than 1 degree every 3 minutes when I'm out of it. When the AC's off, I want it to change. Heat too. Heat is the same thing in cars, not just the AC. It's only AC because it's getting warm now. Heat is the same thing. Let's figure it out. Wow, I'm going to try that one again. Let's figure it out. And so we can stop the car makers from raping our wallets by making an extra part run more often than it should. That was the worst I have a dream speech that I've ever heard. Alright, I had more topics, but I'm flaming right now, so I'm gonna just end it here. I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank everyone who likes and shares and subscribes this. Like I said, if you see a C²hour golf ball out there, hit me up. Might get something, but you have to, do it on Facebook. Yeah. Oh, check out my merch store. It's there. Whatever. Buy shirts, hats, all that shit. If this episode's shorter than most, I'm sorry, but I'm flaming. So, beyond that, I will see you all next time.